Geita. It's a Tuesday, so it is definitely talking about matters business, as we do every single Tuesday, business, Biashara Tuesday. And with us today, George Munga, financial analyst. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Most definitely, a new face with us on Biashara Tuesday.
Yes, I've been here before.
For someone who's seeing you today, could you tell us who is George Munga?
My name is George Munga, managing partner at MG Consulting. MG Consulting deals with tax, audit, and of course financial management.
Right, fantastic. Yes. And we always have this conversation about matters investing, and you can always be part of this conversation. You always ask yourself, I'm really saving towards investing in something. Could be major, could be minor, but how do I really invest, and what do I actually invest in? Where do I put my money in? Talk to us on our socials at TV47KE on Facebook. Call us live. Numbers are open 0795 045 864. As we have this conversation, we'll be getting into our screens with Munga just to analyze those numbers for you. Probably trying to save maybe kamani 1,000 per month, and how much total per annum? That's about 12,000. What do you need to invest in, considering where you are at right now? First off, just to explain it for background and all this conversation, tell us maybe the common kind of trends that are there in the country when it comes to even investing in basically anything.
Let me start by talking about the savings trends in Kenya vis-a-vis Africa and the global market in total. Our current percentage savings rate is 12%, which is lower than the African percentage, which average at 17%. And of course, the world is going up to 20%. And in some countries like Singapore, they do up to 25%. So that means that out of 100 shillings that a Kenyan earns, on average, we only save 12 shillings only. For future consumption, for future investments, which is much lower than the African average and of course the global average. Mostly again.
So basically, we don't have a savings culture.
Correct, in Kenya.
Okay.
Mostly again, most Kenyans save for retirement. That is why when somebody is in employment, then he saves, which is sometimes mandatory for his later years when he retires. Or we save for consumption. For example, I could be putting money aside for maybe a holiday in December, or for school fees next year. Very rarely will you find somebody who goes out there and intentionally saves for future investment. Though they are there, but the percentages are quite low. And that trend should change if we are to be a developed economy or a mid-income economy in the future.
Right. So now getting into, because you're explaining to us the kind of savings that we really need, we're actually not there yet.
Correct.
And saying that most of us really save for retirement.
Correct.
But then now saving, because even in retirement, and the older generation gets into investments when they pass retirement. That's when someone starts to think about, hey, by the way, kuna kashamba I saw somewhere around Kitengela and all that, and I really need to invest in it. And you start to have these conversations when you're older. But then now what's the whole advantage of thinking about investing as young as, even before you actually hit 30? What's the whole advantage of even thinking about investing when someone is at the prime age and they're probably earning, for theoretically can have it, and hypothetically can have it ranging between, let's say, 40,000, 30 to 40,000. Yeah.
I wanted to illustrate this, but let me just put it this way.
You want to?
Yes, I wanted to illustrate something. I don't know if the camera.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, you on this basically, you're always free.
Yes.
Let me rub that off.
Okay.
There you have it.
The lifespan of...
Oh, you're right. I can come to this side, okay?
Yes. The lifespan of a human being is roughly 70 years. Between age 1 to age, say, 25, this is pure consumption. This is where you go to school. This is where you still depend on your parents. Or if you get a job, say between 23 and 24, then you're setting up your base, you're setting up your house and doing all that. And then between ages 25 to age 60, this is the productive year. These are the productive years.
So does this mean I should start thinking about, someone's thinking about investing at this age and not that one?
This is the age that you can make a difference. And I'll divide this into two again. But this is the age where you make a difference. Because the age that now you have gotten employment if you're employed, or if you're in business, at least you've started establishing your business. And then you come to age 60 and above. These are also consumption years. So if you want to save, then this is the age to focus on. But then again, between age 25 to 60, there is the age 25 to age 35. These are still mostly very active, but still not enough income maybe to invest or to start something major. So this one, at this age, you plan. And as you plan, also you save for your investments in future. And then between age 35 to age 60, now the decisions that you made here makes a very big difference, because at this age now at least you've started saving and you know what you're targeting. If you're targeting maybe to buy a house, then you know this is what I want to target, and I need to save X, Y, Z amount of money to be able to buy that house. At this age now, you can now easily plug into what you had planned at this age and invest or buy that asset that will now carry you to your ages 60 and above. Innovation, you say this at this age you're taxiing. At this age you're now on flight, and then at this age you are landing. So don't wait to save when you're landing. You'll not make it. This is the time to save and even plan your investments. Because that's what I wanted to show.
Because I was actually now coming there. So what's the danger of taking that flight later in your life? I mean, things do happen. You're really waiting for a job. You hit 30 past, bado hauna your job. Either probably self-employed or employed, and you're close to, let's say, 40 there. And that's now where you get that break. And that's now where you start thinking about investing, Nini. Would you tell someone that's probably too late for you?
No, still not too late. Between ages 40 to 60, that's a whole 20 years. You can make a huge difference if you're focused on what you want to achieve. Because still, you still have a lot of strength. Your mental capacity is still very high. You can still even go back and do a course that you had wanted to do and still make a difference in your life. There's something that most people do that is detrimental or that is catastrophic, that you want to start a new business or a new investment past your 60th birthday. That is a big danger, because at that time, your mental capacity now starts going downhill. You might not realize, but you're not as active as you are when you're 25 or 35. At this age, you can only perfect what you've done at this age, but you cannot start a new venture at this age. I want to give you an example very briefly. There is my uncle who retired at age 60, and he wanted to venture into agriculture. He came, and with all his savings, he went and bought a new tractor, of course, that was around 4.5 million, and went into agriculture. Of course, the machine was faulty, so immediately hit ground. The machine was grounded. So his entire savings from age 25, maybe when he got employment, to the age of 60, went down the drain just with one transaction. But if he had been doing agriculture all his life, then maybe you'd have gotten that knowledge that this is what I need to buy. This is who can give me a good machine, or already you could be having a tractor to do that kind of business. So this is not the age to start a new venture. This is the age not to perfect what you had started at this age. And just stripping the fruits. They say old dogs seldom bite. So basically, even for conversation today, we'll really now be focusing on this age bracket. 25. But then right now, the Gen Zs are making quite some money, and they're not even waiting till they're 25. So these are Gen Zs who are right now 20, 19-year-olds, even in social media, and they're making quite the money, different social media platforms. So between 19 all the way to even before they actually hit 25.
The whole 25 to 35 was even for your days when you really had to get a job, come to Nairobi, get a job, and then someone knows ulimaliza university by 24, you got a job there. Right now things have changed, though.
Things have changed, but forgive me for saying this is my personal opinion now. It is safer to make money at this age, between 35 to 60, than when you make your money between ages of 25 to 35. You know the reason why? At this age, you are more stable, your mind is more focused, you know what you want to achieve in life. At this age, the individuals who made a lot of money at this age, but they end up either the money destroys them completely, because you know of athletes who have died because they made money at a younger age. The risk is still very high because you don't know what you want to. You have a lot of money, and you know money has its risks, and you don't know where to place it. So if you make a lot of money at this age, there's a risk that you can either lose all that money before you hit your 40th birthday. But when you make your money between ages 35 and 60, your mind is more focused. At least if you are a normal human being, you could be in a family, so meaning you have a wife, you have children who grounds you more into what you're doing. I'm not saying that it's bad to make money at this. If you can do, then the best thing to do is to get somebody who can guide you, who can hold your hands, who can tell you, do this. If you do this, you will succeed. If you do this, you'll not go. That's a good direction. But at this age, now you're more mature, you're more stable to be able to guard the money that you made.
Fantastic. And now for that person who can guide us, you're our right person for that here. So this, because I've told you, times have changed, and you'd see, and I'm pretty sure there are people who are even below 18 years old, and they're using social media to make a lot of money. But then, as you're saying, they don't really have the right person to guide them and tell them this is where you have to throw your money in. So where do these young people who, you're telling them, you don't really have a family, you don't really have too much responsibility, but you have a lot of money. The people who by a month, let's say, they have 100,000 cash shillings plus just from social media. Where do they throw in this money? Well, they're definitely saving. So where the big question in their mind is, where am I investing this money?
Where do I invest this money?
Yes.
That's a very good question. If you're able to make your money at this age, let me put it 25 to 35, or less than 20, let me put it that 18 to 20, 21, 23, 24. Get a financial coach or a financial mentor who can guide you on how to invest that money. In most cases, when you make money at that age, that money ends up, a big percentage ends up in entertainment. Meaning over the weekend you don't sit in the house to listen to it, but you're always out. You'll find that you're spending maybe 60-70% on entertainment. So at this age, if you can make that money, it's a good thing. But get a financial mentor who can tell you that this is the direction to go. But there's some people who mature up quite early, and even at age 18, 20, they know what to do, and they know they have the focus, and they know this is what I want to achieve. If you're that kind of a person, then if you get your money at this age, ensure that a bulk of your money goes towards investments, goes towards saving, and invest in more less risky assets like treasury bills or treasury bonds, or the investments plans that are given by the insurance company. Don't invest your money in the risky ventures that are peddled around. Of course, I'm talking about the schemes, the get rich quick schemes that are peddled around. Get your money into very risk-free or near risk-free assets that are in the market.
Right. So we've opened the second page now for you to clearly help us understand. And I used a hypothetical of someone who hasn't reached 25 years old, and they're using social media to push the brand and all that. And hypothetically, they'd probably get, let's say per year, let me use per year, how much? 1 million?
1.2. We give 1.2.
1.2 million.
But they have 100,000 per month.
Okay.
Yes.
So 1.2 million Kenyan shillings per year. That's what someone who's about, let's say, 20 years old is getting from social media, from the internet. How do they now, let's say, invest? They don't have a family. They don't have too much responsibility. How do they now, save up all this and actually, invest it somewhere?
Let me make this clarification or this pointer. Somebody who makes money at that age probably they are good maybe at social media, what you've said, or in athletics, or in the athletics field. Yeah. And most of those careers don't last a lifetime, is it? They are for a specific period of time. It's a short-term career, so to speak, as opposed to your career, you can go to 60 or even 70 years. So if you are getting, say, 100,000, we are talking 100,000 per month. Most of these careers seldom go for more than 10 years. So let me give you 10 years, a 10-year career span.
Okay.
So if you're doing 100,000, then per annum, you'll be doing 1.2 million. This is per annum, meaning for 10 years, you have around 120 million, is it? 1.2 times 10 is, that's what you'll make in a span of 10 years. And assume you don't do anything else, then this is what you have to live on for the next 50 or even 60 years of your life. If you are at this age, then
it's about, is it 12 billion?
Is it 12 million? It should be. No, okay. 12 million.
Times 10, yes.
1.2 million per annum times 10 is, of course, 12 million.
Yes,
12 million. You're right. So if you are in this, assume you're 20 years and you're getting this amount of money, the first thing you need to know is that your career span is short-lived. That is one thing. Number two, that you will have a long lifespan ahead of you after this career is gone. So what do you need to do? One is to invest in yourself. If it's education that you are pursuing, that ensure you get another career or proper education to support this career even after the 10 years has lapsed. Number two, that you need to invest this money so that you have something to live on after even this phase of your life is gone. So assuming you're getting 100,000, try and save at least 40%. Because at this age still, you don't have a lot of responsibilities. So try and save at least 40%. So 40% should go into savings. And as I said, there are three types of savings. There's savings for investment, which I would advise.
Yeah.
So savings for investments.
Which is our elephant in the room for this conversation today.
Correct. There are savings for future consumption, which I would not advise for this particular individuals. The example I gave for savings for consumption is you are saving for, say, 10 months to go on holiday. At the end of the year, and of course, there's savings for retirement that now applies to those who are in formal employment. So what I would advise this particular individual is to pick the savings for investment, because there's a high chance that this is what this person will live on for the rest of their life. And in fact, after the 10th year, that is where now the bigger percentage of their consumption now comes, because this is the time now that they're getting their families, their children started going to school. They need to have a family home, so they need to ensure that they save at least 40% of their income in investments.
You'd mentioned about education, and I'm pretty sure someone watching it, they're wondering, I'm earning 1.2 million per annum. Why do I need again to go to school and all that? On a whole light note, because I'm pretty sure even for the Gen Z, someone who started earning even before they get to school, I mean, it's a question that they'd be asking you. What's the whole purpose of starting to again go to school and then getting all this education? And yet I earn way too much than someone who actually went to that school.
Let me give you an example of our athletes. You find that most of them earn a lot of money in their competitions in the globe, across the globe, of course. But still, they have a career. If you realize, most of them are in the forces. They are either policemen or they're in the defense forces or something. Why do they maintain those careers, despite the fact that they have a lot of money that they earn in these careers? The reason is that career is short-lived. He can do it for 1, 2, 3, or even 5 years, or even 6 years, but that career will come to an end at a particular time. But remember, even after that career ends, his consumption still, his life still goes on, still need to get money on a day-to-day basis to be able to support his lifestyle. And remember, when you get a lot of money at this age, there's a particular lifestyle that you adopt, is it? Maybe you have a car that you're driving, maybe you have a good apartment that you're living in. You need to maintain that lifestyle over the next 30, 40, or 50 or 50 years. Yeah. So if you didn't do your math well at this particular point, that is where you reach at a point where you start asking for mchango, as we know it in our country. Yes. So this is the advice that we give to persons who earn those monies. And why do I say you need to go back to school? You might need to get a second career when this career ends, is it? You've seen musicians who have been very good in their craft for quite some time, but then all of a sudden that career collapses. So they have to get something else to be to live on in the next phase of their lives.
Right, fantastic. So the 40% is for 1 month.
Savings for investments, yes. So, every month, every single month.
Every month.
Yes.
So what happens to the 60%?
6% he needs to do his day-to-day, of course. If he's a musician, then he needs to do his branding, he needs to travel around. Okay. So that is for his day-to-day use. And why do I insist that it must be savings for investment? When you save for investments, say, for example, you take this money and put it in an investment plan, in an insurance company, then this investment compounds every other month, meaning the interest that you earn from this monthly savings, you earn interest on interest as you go along. So after the 10th year, you find that you have 15, 18 million just from this savings, from the compounding principle. Yes.
Okay, that as you even explained, it sounds a little technical that I'd want you to explain it to us. But then now for the 40%, so explain to us how, the kind of, now for this individual who has 100K per month, through social media, engagements and all that. How do they? What do they invest in? And is it advisable to have just more than one, or do you have to stick to one investment, or should you now go to different? And what's the risk involved in that when you throw in Ubambiwa? Invest in, let's say, buy a land and let it appreciate, and in different kind of investments. What's the risk in that?
At this age, I would advise that somebody goes to an investment manager. Don't go into personal investments. Most of us Kenyans, we like doing our personal investments. For example, when I have some money and here there's land somewhere, I would rush to buy that just on my own emotional thinking that my land is the in thing, and now I want to go and buy land somewhere. Let me give you an example. In my formative years, I bought some land somewhere in the outskirts of Nairobi. I think I bought it for 1 million shillings. 10 years down the line, the land is worth around 1.4 million. So in 10 years, my 1 million only earned me 400,000 on top. And still, even selling that land is a problem. So if I was cash strapped today and I wanted to dispose of that land urgently, maybe I'd get less than 1 million shillings out of that land, meaning I'll lose on an investment that I put in 1 million shillings and I've waited for 10 years and maybe lose another 200 or 300,000. If I'd invested that money in an investment plan, probably to date, I could be having maybe 5 or 6 million. So most of us...
Do you feel like land is no longer...
It is a good investment, but let you be guided on where to invest or what to do. Even this investment companies that now that sell those investment plans, sometimes they go back and invest in land, but because that is their trade, they know which type of land, if they buy, will earn them something at the end of a given period of time. You're like an impulse buyer, emotional buyer. You've heard that land is the in thing, so you rush to buy land. Somebody sells you land in a place that you cannot resell. So my advice for this category of persons is go for an investment planner. Investment plan will tell you that this is the rate that I'll give you and a guaranteed. Say, for example, tell you, I'll give you 12% guaranteed. Okay. So you, at the end of every year, you have 12%, and that 12%, of course, at the end of the year, it earns you interest on interest. So don't go doing your investments on your own at this particular age. When you're matured up, then now even you as an individual can be able to know that in this economy of ours, this is the type of investment that I can be able to get my money back quicker, and I can easily liquidate this kind of investments. Of course, the investment companies that have gone under with individuals, with people's saving. So my advice is also the investment companies that you are investing in, ensure that they are CMA approved, and of course apply money in 2 or 3 different investment planners, not one.
So land is out. For a question on this for this hypothetical. So I want you to now really explain to us how these percentages translate into now the actual kind of money. So you've ruled out land for this one. So which others should he or she go to?
The other safest, because I'm talking about this guy should be able to get back his money.
Yeah.
I don't want him to lose his money. That is what I'm driving to. There are investment schemes in this country that have sunk with millions and millions of people's money. Not mention brands in this show, but they have sunk. They have gone under with millions and millions of people's monies, and a big percentage were in real estate. I can tell you. That is why I'm very skeptical in that field.
In real estate.
Correct. So if you're an individual and maybe you don't want to go to the investment companies, then one of the most secure, a government of course is not going anywhere anytime soon. It will be here for eternity. So treasury bills is one of the most secure investment vehicles, and currently I think they're paying between 9 and 12%. And they pay this interest semi-annually, meaning every 6 months they pay your interest. So you can choose to reinvest this money after the maturity of this kind of instrument. Let me just explain what treasury bill is. Government needs to borrow from the market. The way government needs to borrow is they come and give you a document and tell you, give me this amount of money, give me 100,000 for 6 months, I'll pay you 12% on that amount. Hold this piece of paper as a guarantee that I'll pay you, and that is called a treasury bill if it is short term. If it is long term, it is called a treasury bond. So we call it a T-bond.
So bond is
long term, 1 year plus. This is less than 1 year. This is more than 1 year.
So how much do you give the government? For practical purposes, let's say today for this individual really wanted to venture into treasury bills.
If this individual, let me just answer that. If this individual wants to venture into treasury bills, he might not. Sometimes because of the small amount, because bonds are structured in a way that there's a minimum, what we call a minimum amount that you need to invest, say 100,000. Sometimes you cannot invest 100,000. That is now why you go through an investment manager. And most banks today have an investment arm. So just go to them, tell them I want to invest this amount of money in treasury bills. Kindly facilitate. They'll facilitate that transaction for you. Almost all banks across the country, they'll do that. They'll do that for you. You can also do that yourself if you have a large sum of money.
So what's the range of money, even for both bill and bond?
The minimum normally they say the minimum investment per is 100,000. So the minimum you can invest at any one transaction is 100,000.
For both bill and bond?
Both, yes, for both.
Wow, okay.
But that not to say that if you have 10,000 you cannot invest. You can still go to your banker or to some of these investment banks that we have around.
Right.
This is what I want to invest this amount in treasury bills or treasury bonds, and they'll be able to give that to you. Treasury bonds, because they are longer term, the yields are better. The interest that they pay are better, but you have to wait for a longer time to be able to be paid that amount of your money back. There is also what we call infrastructure bonds that are also longer term. They are meant to do specific infrastructures, like for example the expressway. There was an infrastructure bond that was floated, though it was floated outside the country. But still, those are investment vehicles that you can use. So that is government.
So back to and still in the government. So back to, let's say, the 100K per month. This guy decided that from January all the way to about October there, for like 10 months, is going to be saving, let's say, 10K. That's about 10% of what he earns. So that's 10,000, all that. So he has accumulated 100.
At the end of the year.
Let's say for the first 10 months. So that's about 100,000. Yes, so 100,000. So now, after the 10th month, he decides, now let me get into this, the treasury bonds. What
treasury bills now?
Let's say yes, for treasury bills, for example. So how, for the 100,000 that he put in for that, for the 9 to 12%, how much, let's say, for the next year? Let's say he did this 2023. How much now for this year, 2024, is he expected to get?
assuming this guy, I want to assume that this guy saves 10,000 every other month continuously.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it? It doesn't stop.
Okay.
Is it?
Okay.
So if, let me just divide this so that we can do that. If this, after 10 months, he has 100,000.
Yes.
Is it?
That he has saved up.
And this amount of money, he channels it to T-bills, is it? And let us give him the best interest, maybe 12%.
Right.
So if he invests this money at the beginning of 2024, at the end of 2024, he has 112,000. That's the amount that he has at the end of 2024. Okay. Remember, he's still continuing to invest. So at the beginning of 2025, so let me say year 2025, I'll do 3 years for illustration. So for year 2025, what does he have? He has the 112,000. Is it? And then he has the other 10,000 that he's been saving for 12 months, another 120,000.
So a quick question before as you continue.
Yes.
He had put 100,000. You buy the bills.
Yes.
So do you put in any other extra 100,000 if you've done this the first year, or this is what is there, and then it will be accumulating?
You're allowed to continue investing.
Okay.
As you move along, or you can leave it at 100,000 and it earns interest at 100,000. So it's something that you're allowed to continue investing. In fact, each and every month you can continue pumping in money to your investment bank, who will eventually channel that money to the treasury, because they are floated every 3 months. The government will be floating these T-bills through the central bank. So your investment banker, if you say I want to invest 10,000 treasury bills every month, then they'll invest for you. Once you reach 100,000, they invest that. They wait for you another 100,000. They invest for you that. So as you go along, you keep on investing. in these instruments. I was just giving this example. Let me just clear with this.
Okay, yeah.
At the end of year 2025, you have 132,000 in total investment, because you have the 112. You have now the 120 plus the total is 132. So you're being paid 12% of this again. 12%
of 132.
Of 132,000. That month should come to around, I think around 30,000 on top, approximately. So you'll have around 162. It should not be 30%, but let me just use that for illustration purposes.
Right.
So you have 162 at the end of year 2. If you are to project this for say 10 years that this guy is in his career, then this person probably out of his 10,000, he'll be having like 2 million shillings in his investments.
Wow! After about 2 years.
That is the multiplier effect of investments.
And that's just for treasury bills.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So there's treasury bills, so that's matters government. But then now to another hypothetical, maybe he isn't quite friendly with matters government and trustworthy with matters government, which came to realize that many Kenyans don't really, if you're telling this Kenyan, you can actually do business and invest with government, they're like, what if government fails to honor. Yes, to honor all this. Yes.
Let me just explain this. Any other institution can fail to honor their obligations. You see, we've seen banks that have collapsed with people's deposits. Government is very rare. In fact, the history of our country, government has never failed to pay their obligations, the money that they borrow from the citizenry. Maybe for supplies you have the pending bills, but at the end of the day, government is the safest borrower that can borrow your money. As long as the government is there, your money will be paid back to you. Remember, previous, that was a month or so before, we were the risk of defaulting on our Eurobond, is it? The Eurobond. The government would find all ways and means to be able to finance that bond, so that the government is not blacklisted.
All right. Interesting. So even as you continue, you're asking what is the best place? What is the best place that you think that you've actually tried to invest your money in? You can always talk to us. 0795-045-864. Phone numbers are open. Call us live. Make a credit and call us live, and just tell us any questions that you have. Bunga will be answering them. Any opinions, thoughts that you have when you're looking at these numbers here, hypothetical numbers, just trying to see how maybe a Gen Z or a millennial getting into social media, and they're earning about 100,000 cash shillings per month. That is what they're getting. And then later on, we'll also be getting to know the common mwananchi kabisa, maybe hajafika hii level, what they also will be getting. So first off, we've begun with the treasury bills, the kind of modes that you'd be getting into investing, and you're in the process of telling us other tips.
Correct.
Yeah.
I was talking about, that is now about government borrowings or government, when you decide to save through the government. But remember, this is also said, you must go through an investment government to guide you, guide you properly. But you're sophisticated, you can go yourself and invest, is it? Number two, you can invest in business if you're good in your trade. For example, I want to use the example of the social media influencers. Let me use that. That is their trade. You see, for a social media influencer, what the career they are in, or the business they are in, is actually advertising, because that's how they get their money. So if you are in that field, then you can push.
Allow me to cut you short as I take this call. Munga from Bondo? Duncan from Bondo. Rudia tafadhali, habari asubuhi.
Okay.
Punguza sauti ya TV.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. Punguza sauti ya TV alafu uendelee.
Okay. I had this question here. From the presenter. He has made a calculation of 100 pounds per annum. The difference between the treasury bond and the second one was treasury?
Treasury bills and bonds.
Between the treasury bill and the treasury bond.
Yeah.
I'm trying to confirm from his calculation, but I don't understand how the treasury bond and the treasury bill adds up. And then in a scenario where someone wants to invest, maybe he has deposited maybe he has bought a bond of maybe 100,000, and then he wants maybe in half a year he or she may need to get something or pay fee. How do you go about that one? Because he want to maybe save for his kids for school in time. Or in a year, he's not working, he's not employed anywhere, but he's doing business. Then you want to say, maybe half a year I get something, then the end of the year I get something. Which is the specific board responsible for that? Thank you.
Right. Asante sana Duncan from Bondo, salimia watu huko. Keep calling us 0795-0458-643 and all those questions and feedback. Remember, the numbers that you're having here are hypothetical numbers just to help you understand what you might probably have, whatever trade that you're in, and how you can actually invest. You've got his question?
Yes. I want to start with the second question, then I go to the first question.
Okay.
The second question he asked, if I want to pay school fees the next year and I want to prepare for that, how do I save?
Okay.
Let me push it back kidogo. If I get a child today in my family, then I know that child will have to go to school at a particular time, and maybe I have a window period of say 3 or 4 years to prepare. So if I'm in that situation, then I need to prepare from day one that this child is born. And how do I do that? I know that the cost of education in Kenya is this amount of money. Let me use hypothetical of course the average cost in our schools across the country. If I want this child,
will you want to do some calculations on that?
Correct. If I want to take my child for good education, then I should be able to spend at least 30,000 per term.
That's a hypothetical of a private school?
Hypothetical for a private school.
Okay.
And of course, that is what most parents would prefer. If I want to do that, then I should prepare myself 30,000 per term. That means that I need to have at least 90,000 every year for this particular child. So if I'm planning to take my child to a private school, then from day one that this child is born, I need to start planning that in 2027 I need to be getting 90,000 per year for this particular child. What do I do starting today? If I was intentional on this, then I would go for what you call an education plan. Don't invest this kind of money in your bank account, because there are very high temptations that you'll consume that money. So I'll go for an education plan, and mostly if you are to get this just from my experience, then you need to save at least between 3,000 to 5,000 per month
Ah, okay.
For
the next 4 years.
Yes. If you are to do it for 5 years, then you'll find that this savings is enough to cover the child for both primary and secondary education. That you're just left with university education to struggle with. So for illustration purposes, at least start saving for this child the moment they are born. Don't wait until they report to school, then you start saving. It might not work for you. Start at the just as the child is born. But if for any venture you're not started, you can also plan that you save for this child at least every year. How do I do that? If I know that next year, that is 2025, my child is going to Form 1, I need to prepare for that. Roughly, I know that this child will need maybe 60,000 to be in school for a particular. How do I do? What do I do this year? I need to start preparing for that. If I'm to save 60,000 to be able to take my child to school, then I need to save at least 5,000 per year for that particular child. What do I do? Don't put this money in your savings account, in your bank account, because you will consume it. Take this money and save it in an interest-bearing account. And most insurance companies will give you a product that pays you interest even as you save. But if you don't want to do the insurance, then most companies have SACCOs, so save in your SACCO. The advantage of being in a SACCO is you can also use this this savings to borrow something to do either your business, or if you don't have enough money at the end of the year, you can borrow again as savings to be able to pay your school fees, and then you remain paying that loan as you go along. So the bottom line is plan early. For education or for school fees. Let me go back to this illustration. Maybe for your second question.
Yes.
We are doing this calculation. I know maybe we used. Let me start with this. We said that treasury bills pay between 9% to 12%, depending on how because the market keeps fluctuating. 9%, 12% per annum, and they pay this interest at least every 6 months of the investment. So meaning, if you invest for 1 year, they'll pay you interest twice. But I used the entire just for illustration purposes. So we said if this individual saved 100,000 and we are paying 12%, then meaning at the end of the year one, he had saved 100,000 for year one. At the end of year one, he has 12%. I wish I had a calculator to just do that calculation. So if he saves for the entire year, he has 120,000. I need to wrap this so that I give that clear wrap for me this. For clear illustration. So assumes he saves 10,000. Say he's saving 10,000 per month for 12 months. So 10K per month for 12.
So that's 120,000.
That is 120,000. Remember, interest on this is at 12%, is it?
Yes.
So 12% of 120,000 is how much?
So that's about, should be 120,000?
And times 0.12. Times 0.12.
Times...
0.12.
Okay.
0.12.
0.1 should be times?
Times 0.12. Or times 12 divided by 100.
It should be 14,400?
Should be 14,400.
400, yes.
Should be.
Yes.
So at the end of the 12 month, he has 14,400 in interest. Is it?
Interest,
his capital is intact, but he has this additional interest. So at the end of year one, his total is 120,000 plus 14,400, which is 134,400. This is what he has. This is total investment at the end of year one. If he was saving 10,000 per month for the 12 month. What I was saying is that when he starts year two, he's going to year two, he still saves another 100,000. So year two, I'll reach there for the purpose of time. Year two now he has the 134,000, is it? Plus another 120,000 which he has saved. This gives us how much?
So you add all that?
Yes.
Plus... 254,000.
400. This is total investment at the end of year two. Plus now the 12% interest. So this one times. So interest on the same is equals to 12% times this one. So that comes to 254,400 times 0.12. 254,400 times 0.12.
to 148,800.
Is it? It should be, no, it should be.
Okay, now plus yes. Now that. Plus
12% times this, 12% times this.
154, 400, 403,200.
Is it coming to that?
Confirm hesabu yangu ya.
For illustration, we'll leave it at that once we are done with this. So we have 130. We have 254 end of year 2.
Yes.
400 times 0.12. So his interest on year 2 is now 30,528. Now plus that. Now plus 254, 400. So at the end of year 2, he has 284,928.
Okay.
That is what he has at end of year 2. So remember, this person is saving only 10,000 per month, but is diligent. At the end of year 2, he has 284,928, almost 300,000. You can imagine if he does this for 10 years, how much money you'll have. You'll have over, it should be over 3 million shillings if he does this diligently.
Right.
So, time.
Okay.
Yes.
And he had 100,000. So, and also to for what Duncan was also asking, because now what happens to the 100,000 that he had given the government?
He continues investing, meaning this money is intact. Anytime he wants to withdraw this money, he can draw plus interest.
Okay. So
anytime.
So
after the 6 months investment period, so he can draw that money.
So after, okay, well, let's say for this year 2, so he can withdraw the interest, 284,000.
He can withdraw the total of this amount, or he can just withdraw the interest, depending on now his needs. He can withdraw this 30,000 interest, leaves his investments intact, or he can withdraw the entire amount and go and spend it wherever he wants to spend it.
So 284,928 is a total?
Is a total investment value at the end of year 2.
Does he also get the 100,000?
Yes.
So this plus this?
No, this is the total.
Oh, this is the total. Oh, should be the total.
Yes, that's the total.
Okay.
Yes.
Some interesting stuff there.
Remember, he has saved 240. He saved 240, is it, for the 2 years. Now he has 284.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So Duncan, I hope umepata jibu. In case you feel like bado kuna mahali haja nini, you can also call us back, and wherever you're watching us from, you can also send in your questions and feedback. Where do you usually send in money? Where do you usually put in your money? So even as we do that, we take a short break. When we come back, just analyzing the different methods and different places that you can actually invest in your money. You've saved this money for quite a while, and you're looking for the best place to really invest in it. Biashara Tuesday takes a break. We'll be back. is Stanley Nyeringita. We're discussing matters business, as we do every single Tuesday on Biashara Tuesday, and today giving you tips on where to invest your money. And that's actually what we're asking you this morning. Where do you invest your money? And well, before the break, we were taking a look at some tips on the whole government ways, the treasury bills as well as the treasury bonds. And right here, I do have George Munga, who's a financial analyst, just giving us some tips. Our screen is quite full. I think we're on page, this should be page 2 or 3, page 3. So I think we can continue on to the next page. And even as we do that, remember, you can always be part of this conversation. 0795-045-864 is the number to call us live. Before the break, we had one caller all the way from Bondo. Kitaka kujua, how do they manage treasury bills and bonds? Ikoaje? Thank you, Duncan. I hope umejibiwa. You can also call in live for the questions, for the feedback, for the opinions. Next up, from away from matters government. Yes.
I want to talk about savings for business. And for business, I would want to differentiate two types of categories of people. They are what we call sophisticated investors, or those who they know their trade. And these are people who have some good capital, so they can
the big
they're able to
the big boys.
Yes, they can burn some money in the market, but still they have the muscle to move on.
Yeah.
A big percentage of us, unfortunately, don't fall in that category. If I have $1 million shillings, I would not want to burn that money in the market. I would want to invest that money and get my return, or at the bare minimum, at least just retain that capital as it is. So I'd want to address that particular category. If you wanted to save for a particular business, if you are not going to burn that money in the market, don't invest in something the trade that you are more conversant with. If you're a teacher and you wanted to do business, do a business that is geared towards education. Is it? Either you do a school, you do school uniforms, you do supplies of stationery, something that is geared towards that direction. Because that is what
something that you also understand.
Yes, that's what I mean. Okay. Something that you understand in and out, so that as you go into the market, it's something that you will not be duped into doing something that you don't understand. That's what I mean. You must have proper knowledge of the or the business that you are going to do. You cannot leave your newsroom today and go do groceries. You burn your money. You burn your money in the field. But you can leave this place today and go open your channel and still make money, because that is the trade that you understand most. So if you are to do that, then understand how much you need to invest in that business for whatever level you want to start in. What are the expected returns of that particular business within a given period of time, and how much do you need to invest to get that that return? And once you determine how much you need to invest, then you need to save towards that particular goal. If I was to go and open, say, a grocery shop, then I need to know how much do I need to spend to open that shop, and how long will I take to repay that investment back. Remember, I said that you invest in a business that you understand in and out. Don't invest in a business that you have been told. That I was told this. We have very fancy figures when you're still discussing business on the table. But when you hit the ground, then things normally are different. They say ground things need tofauti. So ensure that you take that into account. And sometimes in business, let me just put this right. In business, sometimes things don't work out the way you thought. If you get into a business you're losing money, cut your losses as fast as possible. There's no shame in saying this one is not working, let me try another thing. If you find out that you've been in this business for 1 year, you're not making any money, then cut your losses and move to your next line of trade.
Right. So even as you continue that whole business, one of the questions that I'm getting here is how to balance investments. And I'm pretty sure you will be getting also to that. Just trying to analyze, because even as you're saying, someone who is a teacher and you advising them, if you're going to be opening a shop that sells uniforms, they understand how, all that, how uniforms are made, how they're sold, the best, markets to be selling into. How do you also, even as someone who is in a career, how do you now getting into a side hustle, so to speak. How do you balance the kind of investments that you get into all that?
How do you transition from your career to business? I'll give my example of myself. I used to be a banker. My bank I used to be a credit manager, meaning I was giving loans to business people. So I understood quite a lot in their sphere. And what I realized that they were struggling very much with the accounting bit. Somebody doesn't know whether he's making money or not. Him is just, because he's selling every day and he has the money in the bank account, he thinks he's making a profit. And once I dealt with 10, 20 or 30 clients, I knew that there's an opportunity here. And that is how I ventured into audit and accounting, so that I can assist these people to bring them up to speed in their bookkeeping. So my prior knowledge of my clients gave me that opportunity to now go and venture into that business. If I am a teacher, then I know my colleagues in that field, and maybe what they're struggling with. So once I identify what they're struggling with, that is what I venture into. If I'm a media personality, I know the dynamics of the media industry in the country. Why are some media houses struggling? Why are they struggling with these things? If there's a opportunity there, then that is what you hit, especially when it is still hot. That's what I'm trying to put across. So ensure that the industry you're going into is an industry that you understand, and you identify a gap in that industry and address that gap. If you do that, then you definitely make money from that industry.
I mean, fine, you've addressed the gap, but then even as you're saying, you transition from a banker to auditing, and now you're focusing on auditing, and you're investing because you not only also invest your money here, you also invest your time here.
Correct.
But then now here's a situation where it's a teacher, and this teacher, he or she is still teaching, but then they decide to open another side hustle. So they're in both places. Will you advise this person to again invest in other places, or they just focus on that investment that they have? How do you juggle between other investments that you decide to have and your specific career?
Most people have a problem with maintaining that balance. When you're still employed, you have a fiduciary responsibility to employer. Is it because they pay you a salary at the end of the month for the service that you've? So ensure that you give them their time. If it is 8 to 5, ensure that you give them 100% of that time. Whatever you want to do as your side hustle, it must be between 5 going to the other. So you must sacrifice your sleep, definitely. If you do that, then that discipline alone will make you realize that even when you open your business, at least the people you're looking at are people who will dedicate themselves to whatever you want them to do. But you start stealing your employer's time, because that is actually theft, then the same thing might happen to you in the future. So you must balance between the two. And then there's a tipping point where now you say, now my side hustle is established, I need to move on. How do you know that you have reached that point? The moment you see that you now start eating into your employer's time, maybe you want to take an hour, or when you're on leave, you are seriously engaged in your business, then I think that is the right time now to jump ship and go and focus in your business. So it is good to have a side hustle, because obviously, in most cases, whatever you do as your side hustle when you're still employed is what eventually you'll do when you eventually leave employment.
Your career,
but be disciplined enough to ensure that you give your employer 100% of the time and do your other things on your spare time, and just know the point where you need now to exit and focus on your business.
Right. So even as because you've told us investing in businesses, and so earlier on we started in the whole business of social media, and actually for some the social media is actually a whole side hustle.
Correct.
Someone is even a banker, and then they have social media there, and they're earning through that, using their skills, in all that. So how do you again pick on the right investment, even for a business that you really want to venture in? You've told us if you have already these skills because you're in that profession, dive into that. But what other tips will you give us?
One is, of course, I've told you that you need to invest in, to venture in something that you understand 100%. Two, you need to know how much you need to invest in that business. Is it before you start a journey, count your costs.
Oh, yes.
How much do I need to invest in this? If it is 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, then ensure you have that money in your account first before you invest. And then again, if you are transitioning from employment to business, ensure that you have some buffer, because sometimes business takes time before it peaks. Even if you are there before, you remember now, you don't have the employment income that you used to have now. Depending on this business 100%, ensure you have some buffer. And they normally say you have at least 1 year of your salary as your buffer, so that you don't struggle with your cash flow as you move out. Remember, when you move out, sometimes when you go out asking for money from your friends, they'll avoid you. It is natural. So to avoid that, ensure that you have a buffer that you can lean on in case things don't work out as soon as you had wanted them to work out.
Right. So now we can have that off. This was a bit of explaining what is school fees. You can just drop that off, and now get into, let's say, the businesses. And so even as you explained to us, so I want us to have different hypotheticals of someone getting into business, maybe as a side hustle, and they are employed. Kama let's say ni mwalimu, ndio labda anaanza, and they're earning about between 35,000 to 40,000 there. We use 35 or 40?
Let's use 40.
40,000.
Yes.
Yes. So 40,000 per month. And you're advising them. You're advising them to get into an investment. Yes.
Is it? They want to start a business. If this teacher is earning 40,000 per month, and I'm assuming they're still young, they're not at advanced ages, so I mean they can still save something. At least from 40,000, if I'm frugal enough, I can save 15,000. It is difficult, but sometimes you train yourself to do some of these things. At least at the end of the year, he has that is 15 times 12. That comes to how much?
Real quick, let me take a look at that. So 15 times 12, 180.
180,000, is it? If he does this for 2 years,
so that's 360.
360.
Is that enough capital to, let's say, as the same hypothetical that you told us, starting out? If
I have 360,000, then I need to look at which industry or which trade can I venture into to at least to make some money. Of course, this teacher has several investment or business options. Is it? He can open his private school. Of course, he cannot open a private school with 360,000. Is it? He can do stationery. Stationery he can do with 360,000 very, very comfortably. Is it? He can do uniforms, which he can easily do with 360,000. Is it? And he can start by just doing uniforms for the people of the school that he has left, is it? And of course, that is a sure, because he knows those parents, he knows the teachers, he knows the principal most probably. So if he is to approach this principal, tell him, give me this job, of course he will get. So for this particular person, then if he has this capital, then he would go into either stationery or school uniform. But assuming these are senior teachers, say a principal in a high school, and was earning say 200,000, is it? And he's been there for quite some time, for say 20 years or 30 years, then he could be having a savings of 10-20 million. You can start a private school, private primary school. And
you mentioned about the uniforms that nakumbuka government saying hapo kwa uniforms, let us do the job on that. Right. But then there are different other ways to also invest on that. So 360,000 per month. But then now for someone who is doing they're self-employed, and mama mboga, mtu wa boda, how do they now also save up and also invest, in what other ways can they invest in? Let me start with
mama mboga. Mama mboga is a term that we normally use in Kenya for the market women that do the craft in the market. And I can tell you from my analysis that those women make a lot of money. Maybe they just don't know themselves, or somebody has not told them they make a lot of money. Because these are ladies who will. Let me use this for illustration. This is a lady who they invest in the morning, and in the evening they have their return. There is no other investment that you get that quick return in the country, that I can tell you. So you will invest 500 shillings in the morning, go to Gikombor Market and buy her groceries well in the morning, and then come and sell in the estates. At the end of the day, she has like 760 shillings to 1,000 shillings.
As profits now.
As profits, yes. So her capital is intact. but she has another 250 shillings or 1,000 shillings as his sales for that day. Meaning her profits for that day, let me use this as profits, is 250 to 500 shillings. And remember, this is a lady who has her customers, meaning this business is sustainable. Tomorrow, you'll not say that today I'm not buying my groceries. You have to, and when you identify one mambogo who sells for you groceries, you lose go back to them. The challenge that this category of people have is now scaling up from the 500 to 1,000, from 1,000 to 2,000. That is now the challenge that's normally the challenge because there is no savings culture. That is the problem. Yeah. He gets the profit of 250 or 500 and consumes the same, all of it the same day. If she has to scale up, then out of the 500, at least save 200. So tomorrow when you go back to the market, you're not buying wares of 500. Now you're buying 700. Is it? Okay. The next day you're buying 900. The next day you're buying, say, 1,000. So if you're to do this diligently, for 1 year, this is somebody who will maybe after some time you find them owning a shop, and this is something that you've seen happening in the country. This somebody started with a grocery shop. Tomorrow they have a shop in the estate. The following day they have a wholesale business. They have a supermarket. That is what happening. I hope you read the stories of Tuskys, the owner of Tuskys, and that is obviously how he started. He used to sell near expiry goods from the his Muindi employer, and that is how he was able to establish that business. So the differentiator here is one, savings discipline. So you must be able to know out of the 500 that I'm making, I must save something, and when I save something, I plow it back into the business. And if I'm a groceries man, mama mboga, don't go into mtumba. Stick with this. This is what you understand. Remember I told you that invest the business you understand 100%. Okay. The challenge we have is that this mboga will be told tomorrow that kuna shamba inauzwa mahali anataka kununua, anagongwa huko. Kuna mtumba business that is booming, and invest anagongwa huko. At the end of the day, whatever she had saved in this business goes into drills. So stick with this, be disciplined in the savings, and always plow back your profits in the business. After some time, and it almost takes quite some time, you'll see the difference.
Though, I mean, for our first hypothetical for the teacher, this teacher knows that at the end of the month, they'll get their 40,000, let's say minus all the taxes and all that. But for Mamamboga, Babamboga, they're not quite sure. At the end of the day, things, I mean, there are certain bad days, and kuna siku unaweza pata soko imeharibika, whatever she or he sells is no longer there. So she is not guaranteed. She doesn't have the job safety that the teacher has. What kind of risks are there even for someone who is in this industry, self-employed kind of industry, to get into investing? And also, I mean, for the whole discipline. You're saying hapa unaweza jua unapata 40,000, so you can invest somewhere in the treasury bills and all that. But does it also apply for Mamamboga and others?
It applies. Anything that touches on food normally is almost 100% guarantee. If you are giving quality, you're almost 100% guarantee that you will sell. Yeah. Because people must eat, is it? So this Mamboga here, go and look at in your estate. See the mambogas, if they'll close in the next 1 year or two, they will not. Maybe they'll just stay the way they are, but they'll not close. The reason is people must eat on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. So the differentiator is, I told you, is this. Of course, there are the days that she'll lose money actually, but if they're disciplined, then the day that she loses money, at least she has some savings to lean back to. The biggest challenge I told you is knowing how to scale up from where they are to the next level, because they don't know that the profits that they make, sometimes they don't know if they're making profits or loss. That's also the other challenge. But if you can differentiate between your capital and your profit, then you're able to say, out of my profits for the day, I want to save this amount of money to plow back into the business. But these are very safe business, because you have to eat. People must eat every day. If you don't eat burger today, tomorrow you must eat burger. I wanted to give you an example, another example for this category for the teachers. There's a client I know that currently runs a very big school, and they started is a pre-primary school teacher, lower primary school teacher, who started with the kindergarten. And the kindergarten she used to do it in her house, a small house. Yeah. Just because she was very good with that craft, she really knew how to take care of children. People entrusted her with their children. Yeah. In a short time, she'd gone to lower primary class 1, 2, 3. Now the dean is at JSS. But of course, it takes time. It's not something that you will start today and need tomorrow. No, it takes time. Sometimes 10, 20 years before you reach there. So discipline of knowing what to do, and savings culture.
Though, and still for the teacher, we've calculated, I mean, it's constant that you do 40,000 I'd get per month. Well, that might probably depend on if I'm going to get a raise. But let's say for the next 4 years, it's 40,000 intact. So the 360, even for the 2 years, this teacher knows that I can plan myself with this 360,000. But then for this other industry, at the end of the day, it's not really fixed that at the end of at the end of the day, you're not sure that this is what you'd get. So for someone, because I mean, you can take a look at, let's say, 5 years, and the figures look huge and they look amazing, and you say, by the way, let's invest. But then for this day one, this person doesn't know that they can actually reach there. So how do you sit down with this person, and what's their thinking at that time? That this is how my budget should look like.
When you're starting a business, let me put it this way: normally it's good to start small. And organic growth. What I mean organic growth is you grow one step at a time, step at a time. With that, you lay a stronger foundation for your for your business, as opposed to today you are at 0, tomorrow you are at 10 million. That business likely can easily fall, and that is what happens to most people who do deal business. Because I get a deal today, I get 10 million because I got it very easily. I easily spend that money. It goes out very fast. But when you build this business for a period of time, you've known the dynamics of this business. You know, this day I'll sell this amount of this day I'll sell this amount. So I need to plan for the day that I'll not make a lot of sales. So at the end of the day, you are able to know how to manage those business dynamics for your growth. That's my question.
At what point do you know, as a business person, that you need to probably invest further into something else, for example? Because let's say for him, or rather for Mama Mboga, ndio ameanza leo. Amefungua kaenda, so that's her day one. At what point does she...
At what point do you know that you need to invest in... Of course, if you're a good business person, you'll get people asking you questions, is it? For example, Mama Mboga, today you'll ask, do you have rice, is it? You keep on trying. If I'm in business, there may be another time when I go to the market, apart from my groceries, that day I bring 2 kgs of rice. And I say, I'm selling rice. Would you mind taking maybe a kg or 2? And then you see how the market takes it. Within a short time, you know that this one can sell. So the bottom line again is what I was saying is don't start huge. For example, if it was in groceries, I don't want to push in maybe 56,000 into cereals because I don't know the dynamics of that. So I start small. Maybe I push in maybe 5,000. I do some cereals, see how it goes. Within that time, because I've known now how it goes, then I can keep on growing it bit by bit. What we call organic growth. Companies that have grown organically, Stanley, you can see them today. I'll give an example of Equity. Those are not companies that started yesterday. They started with Tambo. And because they're diligent in what they do on a day-to-day basis, you see after some time, and quite some time, of course,
there's been an organic growth.
They're big business. So organic, I vote for organic growth.
Okay. So even as we move on to the next page, Warren Buffett says that be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. What's your interpretation of that?
Be fearful. Let me start with be fearful when others are greedy. When you see a deal that is too good to be true, be fearful. That's how I want to interpret it. That's what I want to interpret it. When you see a deal is too good, there was a company that was selling land, and they were saying they're going to, you save a certain amount of money. After 3 years, they buy the land, they're built for you. And of course, the money was quite limited, quite small money, and very many people flocked into when the deal is too good, just think twice. Maybe you are the lunch for that particular person. The second bit is be greedy when other people are fearful. That is taking advantage of the market. And I'll give you an example of the stock exchange currently. The current stage in the stock exchange is that it is so depressed. So many counters are not performing very well. For most sophisticated investors, this is the time they invest. When people are living in droves, the share prices are very low. That's the time they get in and buy a very big bulk of shares. And when people start getting confidence, start investing, of course the market prices start rising. At that time, then they sell. So those are people who take advantage of the market.
Right.
Yes. Fantastic.
So even as you continue, and before you get into the next bit of investing, that's why we're asking you, where do you think your money should be invested in? You can talk to us on our Facebook page, TV47KE on Facebook. Call us live 0795 045 864. And George Munga will be answering all your questions, or in case you have feedback or thoughts, things that you've tried. Right now you're investing in something and you feel like, well, this actually works. Or unafeel, hapana, it doesn't really work as I had thought. You can also tell us your bit on that. And that's actually a whole bit on, you're probably told that, you actually sat down with an investor or someone, good in all this, a financial coach, and they advised you, well, try this. But then you actually tried it, and as you're saying, kwa ground vitu ni tofauti. Some years later, let's say 2 years down the line, you realize whatever I actually invested in during that time, it's not really worthy at that time. How do you know to pull out of whatever you'd invested in?
How do you know what the time to pull out? Not all investment, and in fact, if you ever venture into business, you will fail at a particular time. And don't fear to fail.
Okay.
But when you continue failing, that know when to pull out. If I invested 100,000 in my business and I've lost that entire 100,000, I inject another 100,000 and I lose it, and I get a third time and I lose, then probably that's not the best business for me.
So is 3 times the?
I don't want to say that is the
your red flag to know. No, just quit it.
But okay, what I'm trying to say is don't give up on the first try. You can try another time and another time and just see how it pans out. But again, you must be able to forecast the industry and see how the industry is likely to pan out in the future. There are businesses that have pumped in a lot of money, and maybe they lose for the first 5 years. That now in the corporate world. But on the 6th year, they regain what they had lost all those years. So you focus on where the industry is likely to be. If I was investing in media industry today, then I need to focus where the media industry is likely to be in the next 5 years, and I start planning for it now. Of course, we have moved to the digital space, to the social media space. So how do I invest in it today so that I take advantage of that in the next 5 or so years? Artificial intelligence is coming, and it will impact media so hugely. How do you take advantage of that today, so that in the next 3 or 4 years you take advantage of the profit that you'll earn from that particular age? So it's about how you focus. You might invest today and burn quite some money, but at the end of the day, you make something. I want to give you the example of Virgin Atlantic when they were investing in the Virgin Galactic. Of course, they lost money, and at a particular time it reached when the owner said, no, this is enough, we have failed in this, let us try something else. So you must know at what point you say, I've burnt enough, let me jump ship and look elsewhere. But the bottom line is, don't give up on the first trial.
Right. Yes. So far we've taken a look at treasury bills and bonds, as well as investing in business. There's also insurance. How do you now get into investing in insurance?
Insurance is now much easier, I must say that, because insurance companies will guide you. And in fact, they'll tell you what we call a minimum guaranteed return on your investment. So when you go to the insurance space, go for investment policies. They'll give you various investment products that you can invest in. Meaning, they'll tell you if you invest this amount of money per month, then at the end of the 10th year, we'll give you this amount, or at the end of the 5 years, we'll give you this amount. Once you agree and you sign off, then it's a matter of wait and see. The only thing that I must say is, for the insurance industry in Kenya, at least invest in 2 or 3 industries, so that if one was to go under, because they have gone under, we've seen, at least don't lose your entire investment. Again, go for companies that are credible. Don't go for a company that has come in today and tomorrow they are floating instruments in the market for you to invest in. Go invest in companies that have been there, that have been tested, that have been there for quite some time, so that you don't lose your investment. So if you don't have time and maybe you're employed somewhere, then insurance companies are your best bet, because they give you minimum return, and you are less likely to lose your income if you follow the advice that you give, that don't invest in companies that have risen up today. They must show what we call a track record of honoring their obligations.
On our first page, Munga, we had age bracket between 25 to 35, and well as trying to advise that we can actually even date back to, let's say, 20, because right now the 20-year-olds are starting to really make money.
Correct.
Huge. So, and the big question would be, so what exactly in insurance am I investing in? What's if you're actually going to go to a let's say insurance broker, those guys who would actually be selling you insurance, what exactly are you investing in this insurance?
Insurance now, I don't know if I want to go into that, but insurers, they call them underwriters. They have now derivatives. When they get your money and they get it from a large pool of people, they go and now do their investments behind the scene.
Okay.
They'll invest in real estate, they'll invest in treasury bills, they'll invest in stocks, they'll do all sorts of investment. The reason that you go through them is that they take the risk away from you. You can go invest in real estate today and lose your money. Then even if they lose their money in real estate, at least they get the money from treasury bills, so they cover you. So that is the advantage. They test the risk away from you, but still give you the return that you are supposed to get.
So in layman's term, the insurer is a third, or rather.
The insurer is a broker between you and the investment is
a middleman was the one I was looking for.
It's the middleman between you and the government investing in treasury bills.
Okay.
It's the middleman between you and maybe the real estate developer if you're investing in real estate. That's how it works. Yes.
All right. So how do you know, let's say, where to? Do you advise the insurer that this is what I'd like you to invest, or now it's their own job
their own valuation to make now the decision where they want to invest in. But if you want to invest in a particular sector, then now you don't go to insurance companies, you go to an investment banker. Investment banker, when you go to an investment bankers, we know we have them all around. Most banks have an investment wing. This big bank. Yeah. So when you go to an investment banker, you tell them that I want to invest in, say, stocks. Now from that information, they'll tell you if you want to invest in stocks, especially in Kenya, then pick this counter, pick Kenya Airways, pick KCB, pick Equity, because we think that these are companies that are able to pay dividends in the next 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Their share price is likely to go this way because they have knowledge of that market. They'll guide you on what to buy. But don't go and tell them I want you to buy for me equity stocks, because again now you tie their hands. They cannot advise. So if that share price to come down, then you cannot blame them. So yours is just that I want to invest in stocks. They'll guide you on what to invest in. If I want to invest in real estate, they'll guide you, tell you this is the best direction to take if you want to invest in real estate. Or if you say they want to invest in government, they'll tell you whether to invest in infrastructure bonds, T-bonds, or treasury bills.
Do they now tell you this is the amount of money that you need to invest in? And we can use, let's say, the hypothetical of what we had on our previous page of the teacher who would, earn 40,000 per month, and let's say in 2 years they have about 360,000. They've saved that, let's say, for about 2 years, for about 2 years, and also for the mama mboga, baba mboga. How do they advise this?
It works in the reverse. They'll ask you how much you want to invest. You tell them this is the amount of money to invest. They'll ask you what are your investment objectives. I want to invest for retirement. Then, the moment you say retirement, they know you are invest for a long term. Or I want to invest for business that I want to start in 2 years. They know they must give you a short-term investment plan. Or I want to invest, may say, for consumption in 1 year, so they know they must give you something for maybe 1 year. So you tell them how much you want to invest, how much you expect to earn from that investment, and what is your investment objective. Once you give them those three items, they're able to guide you that this is the best product to invest in.
Right.
Yes. So you must go to them with a clear mind that this is what I want to. This is what I want to do.
Right. Anything else on the whole insurance, as we also give us more tips?
I think for insurance, what I can say is look at the return. That is number one. Look at the track record of the company that you want to pick an insurance product from. There should be a company that has a track record and has a history of honoring their obligations. So once you get those, then you're free to invest.
Right. There's also money market funds. Tell us now we can, I think. Should we use the same hypotheticals that we had, even for the teacher? Because the same question that I'd got here is, how do you balance? So you've had this teacher investing in business, but then they also want to get into some money market funds. Now you can tell us, how do you really balance all that together as you get into MMFs?
Money market, if I was to invest in a money market fund, then probably my biggest objective is something that is very liquid. then that I can get my money out very fast. And who invests in money market fund? If I'm in business that requires a cash flow almost on a daily basis, then I cannot go for treasury bills, because treasury bills now will tie my money for 6 months. I cannot go for real estate, because real estate tie my money for 1 or a minimum of 1 year. My best bet is money market fund, because in this fund I can be able to get back my money plus a return, maybe even on a weekly basis. Yeah. So this one, the biggest advantage that they have is that they're very liquid. You can get your money back at any given time. We plus the return that you've earned from them. So if you have say 360,000, that is what we were working with. Yeah. Most money market funds will give you between 8.5%. The highest I've seen is up to 14%. Most of them will range between 8.5 to 9%. The reason why some give you very high interest rate is because of the risk component of the manager of that fund. So if I was somebody investing in this instrument, then I look for what we call the median quartile. I mean, those who will give me between 9-10%. I'll not go for the higher ranges, because that hides something that they're not very sure with. They want to attract you with something. So be very, very careful on who you give your money to, because some of these traders have gone down with people's monies back there. So I would go for the mid quartile providers. So if I'm getting, say, 10% from this amount, then at the end of the year, then I have my 36,000 from this investor. But the advantage that I must point is, this is money that I can draw at any given time without losing my interest. Also, you can actually now withdraw the 360,000. Yes. As the interest accrued as at the time that I'm drawing. If I invest today and I want to draw in 1 month, they'll pay me interest for the month that I've given them my money. Yes. Right now, for banks also have their own money market kind of funds, kind of platform, and then there are also the private, personal kind of MMFs. How different do banks and also the private work? Banks will give you, the disadvantage they have is that they give you very depressed interests. Though they're secure, but again, banks have went under in this country, so I will not say they're 100% secure, but the rates are quite depressed. Okay. The other challenge with banks is, when this amount matures, they'll forward it back to your current account. You can easily use that money. If it was meant for investment, you can easily go back and consume that money. But if you take a more structured money market, then when it matures, they'll call and tell you, this is what it has matured, this is what we have paid you. Do you want to reinvest again? They tell you, now you will invest. So you are more focused on what you want to do. Though even investing in a bank, FDs is still a good idea. But you need somebody who is disciplined to know that if I invested this amount for this particular purpose, then I cannot divert and do something else. Again, for banks, you can use this instrument to borrow against. For example, if I've invested 1 million for, say, 1 year, I can go to the bank and they give me 500,000 to sort out my issues as I wait for the maturity of that fund. So that's the whole advantage of the bank. Yes. And just still to use, let's say, the 40,000 per month kind of salary, because it might really be, many Kenyans would relate to that. Well, a number of Kenyans would really relate to that. And so will you advise now this person, because now you're sitting with them as a financial coach, will you advise this person to go for a higher interest, let's say 11, 12, 13, 14%, instead of the 8.5%? I would not advise you to go for the very high interest. If you look at that chart, I'll not mention names. You look at that chart, then you'll see the companies that offer very high interest are not companies that have been there for some time. They're not. They're new, pretty new companies. Or their history is not very, you cannot trace history maybe 10, 20 years down the line. So the risk element is there. But again, as they say, high risk, high return. So if you can be able to absorb that risk, then why not? You go for it. But sometimes if you have 40,000, it's not a good idea to lose that 40,000. It's good even just to maintain that capital as it is without losing. So my advice is, go for the mid-quartile interest providers. They are more stable. They give you better return. They give you a good return, not at the high levels, but they give you a good return for your investments. Right. Interesting. This still applies to both employed as well as self-employed. Correct. Right. Anything else on the money market funds as well as we cross over to units? I think for money market funds, most money market funds today have an option of withdrawing even on your phone. They have the SSD codes. So when you have a provider that has that, then just be disciplined to ensure that if you are investing for 3 months, ensure that it is 3 months. Don't draw in between, because if you draw in between, then you lose interest for the period that you have that you are yet to cover. But the bottom line is, look at the company that you're investing in. Ensure there's a company that has a history that is not likely to lose your money.
Right. SACCO says the best place that I've invested my money in is one of the SACCOs that I've been for the past 3 years. Do you agree? What's the...
Agree. SACCOs have been, most SACCOs, though I know corporate failures have been, even in SACCOs, like the SACCOs that have gone under, but a very small percentage. SACCOs have been very secure over the last so many years that they have been in operation, in Kenya. Reason is, they have what we call a common bond. We'll have TV47 SACCO. We know ourselves, is it? So we know so-and-so, huyu hatuwezi kumweka kwa treasury, huyu ni mjanja, so-and-so is mortgage. So the management is more of like a corporate management. So there's less likelihood of such going under. So SACCOs is a good bet, because one, they offer interest on any investment that you give them. They pay you dividends on the investment that they've earned for that. Remember, banks, then they'll get profits, but they don't share that profits with their depositors. They share it with their shareholders only. But for a SACCO, they'll share that profit with you at the end of the year. That's why you find at the end of the year they have dividends, and also they have interest on your savings with them. So you're earning double.
Right. Yes. And still for the 40,000, let's say for example, they earn the 40K, and take a look at, let's say, for the SACCO, and even filling the whole form before you start, they'll probably ask you how much do you want to deposit. For the 40K, this is the net salary, so this is salary. How much should this teacher, for example, they want to get into, let's say, Mwalimu SACCO or something, or any other SACCO, how much will you advise them? And for example, they're about, let's say, 25 years old. Yes. How much will you advise this person to get into, rather, deposit for the SACCO?
No, normally most people would want to save more when they want to save more when they're advanced in age, say from age 40, because I expect them from age 40 now I'm earning slightly higher, I can save more. Me, I advise the reverse. When you're still at this age, save a bigger percentage of your income. At age 25, 26, 27, still have very minimal responsibilities of your own that you must carry. Meaning you still don't have maybe a family, so most of your income still can be so between age 20 to maybe to age 30, you can save 40% of your income, and it's possible.
So 40% of this?
Oh yes, between age 25. These are my figures. So these are age 25 to 30. At least save 40%. You can be able to do that. 40%. Okay. Yes, you can be able to do that, because what do you spend your money on? If you're a man, maybe just your transport, maybe your crib. Nothing much. Save that amount of. Don't rush into consumables like a car at this age. Between age now 30 to 40, here now responsibility starts kicking in, and this is where now you are getting a family. You want to wed. At least you have to have a car for the family. Here now the savings rate goes down. The income has gone high, but the savings rate has gone down. So the quantum savings is still higher, but the percentage now goes down. At this age now you can save between 20 to 30.
4 times 40 divided by...
You can say between 20 to 30% of your income.
So here you will deposit into the SACCO 16,000.
Yes, it's possible. 16, and those who have done that, after the 10 years, there's a big difference. If between and this is the time that somebody's getting employed, is it? Between 24, 30, 31, is it?
Yeah.
This time that most young men or young graduates are getting employed.
Yeah.
If I can save 16,000 per month for the next 5 years, at the end of 5 years, there's a big difference between me and the person who was not saved. In fact, this person, if he's saving diligently 40%, he can be able to buy his first house in cash without getting a mortgage. That's the difference that it makes. You'll cut on your luxuries quite heavily, but it makes a difference later in life.
Right, because in my calculations, that's 16,000. Yes. For the 10 years, you have 160,000.
No, should be 1.6 million.
Oh, okay.
Yes, 16,000 for 10 years. 16,000 per month. You know, per month?
Oh, per month.
Times 12 months, times 10.
10, okay.
Yes, quite some money. Quite some money. Quite some money. Quite some money. You have quite some money, yes.
You met after Probox Mahali.
Correct. This individual here can be able to buy his first house cash. Or if it's to borrow, maybe borrows a very small amount of money. But if you have to wait until this age, then when you get to 30 to 40, if you have to buy a house, because at that particular time you need to buy your own house, you still find you must go back to the banker to give you a mortgage to be able to finance your house, and you have to pay back that mortgage. So you find you are very heavy. You are very heavy in your expenditure in this age.
All right.
But if you did the other way, then at this age now, you find your expenses are even much lower, because you're living in your own house, you don't spend on rent. Maybe you're driving your own car, you don't spend on a car loan, so your expenses are much lower. So because you sacrifice at this age, you're able to enjoy life at this age. It's a difficult decision to make, but when you make it, it pays off.
Wow, okay. About 16,000. And Angaliana, the taxes and everything, you're like, wow. Oof.
And the best way to save this is through your SACCO, if you're in a SACCO. Yes, just imagine that you, at least every month, they deduct 16,000 to your savings in the SACCO. What I must say, if that money was to be paid to you, and it's coming to your salary at the end of every month, at the end of the 1 year, you look back and say, where have I taken this? You look at statement,
true.
You've received a lot of money, but where have you taken it? You cannot account for it.
Oh, yes.
You cannot account for it.
Can you get into just one SACCO, a couple of SACCOs? How will you advise someone trying? Because I mean, if you're telling them getting into, let's say, 16,000 just for one SACCO, but they'd ask, so how about to get, let's say, into 3 SACCOs, and they divide this 16K into 3 times? If
you're in a SACCO, the best bet is just do one SACCO. Look for a good SACCO, just do one SACCO. The challenge with investing several is that maybe you cannot be able to track your investment in all these SACCO. Don't do so many. For SACCOs, you can do one SACCO and maybe one money market fund. Don't do 3 SACCOs alone. If you have to divide, then do maybe a SACCO and a money market fund. Yes.
All right.
It's easier when you have maybe 1 or 2.
Okay. So that's all on SACCOs?
Yes.
All right. Anything to add on that as we cross over to the next?
Let me just add on SACCO still. Remember, if you're saving this amount of money, you can be able to borrow against that savings.
Yeah.
For example, if I'm saving 16,000 for 12 months, if I'm saving 16,000 for 12 months, I'll have saved how much?
1,000 times 12. That's about 192,000.
192,000.
Yes.
If I'm in a SACCO, this SACCO can give me 3 times, 4 times this amount. So assuming they give me 4 times, how much can I borrow?
768. 768,000.
768K. Is it?
Yeah.
So you can imagine if I'm really, and I save this amount for 12 months, I have 192,000 intact, but I can still borrow 768. This amount of money I can take it to purchase a piece of land somewhere, is it? And just keep it there. Still continue saving. After maybe another 2 years, I can borrow 2 million and build this and put up my property. So that's the beauty. That's the compound effect or the multiplier effect of having this kind of saving. Interesting. Yes. Okay. Yes. And the whole interest and everything. How do you know which should be the best SACCO? Let's say, for example, you're not in the employment. Well, that was for the teachers. So yes. Someone who's employed, they'd have been a better position to actually know. I can join, let's say, my farm's SACCO, but then for Mama Mboga and all that, they're self-employed. How do they know which is the best SACCO to get into in matters of the interests that this specific SACCO has? Most SACCOs they have what we call an open bond, meaning they are able to admit any other person that is outside of that industry. For example, if you're to I'll talk of Stima SACCO. Let me now mention. Yeah. Stima SACCO has an open bond, meaning any other person can walk in and join that. They give you terms and conditions, of course, that allows you to join them. Maybe not get the same benefits as the people who share the common bond, but you're able to get in and you're able to even borrow against your savings. And normally they say at least a member who share the common bond must refer you and of course guarantee you if you borrow a facility. So most SACCOs currently, especially in the bigger SACCOs, have what we call a common bond. So just look at a SACCO that has that and join. Right. So we have about 8 minutes to wrap it up. I think we can also wrap it up with matters schemes, just to brush through how do I invest in schemes. Someone asking, well, there are also pyramid schemes. There's schemes that are not really genuine. How do you know the best kind of schemes to invest in? Yeah. In Kenya, we have very many examples of pyramids or get rich quick schemes.
The Ponzi schemes.
Yes, the Ponzi schemes, so to speak. And it's not a problem in Kenya alone. It's a problem even in the developed markets, like the US. We had the story of it's called Bankman Fried. I don't know what was his name. The guy who had long hair. So how do you identify that this is likely to be a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme? They normally
on page 5,
let me call them Ponzi or pyramid. They still come, that I can tell you between today and some of them come very, very sophisticated. One, they promise very high returns.
So what's the figure that if I was to say this, I'd be alarmed?
Let me give you an example. When I was still working, at that time I was working in a bank, there's a pyramid, I cannot mention the name, that came and they were promising, I think, twice your saving at the end of 2 weeks, meaning you put in 10,000 today, within 2 weeks you have 30,000. That's a red flag. Nowhere in Kenya can you get a business that can earn that kind of interest. You'll not get that. I can guarantee you. So what they do is they collect money and use Peter's money to pay people. The first people who get into that kind of scheme, they get money. That's how they lure more people to join. The end game is once they collect money from a bigger pool, then they collapse the entire structure and they remain with the money. And number two, they don't have history. So no history. They don't have history. They just come. They don't have history. Really, they have history. The example of Bankman Fried, I've forgotten the nini he was running, but it just came up. It was he said he was investing in blockchain, he was investing in cryptocurrency. There's a lot of issues. In a short time, it accumulates a lot of billions in dollars. And once it collected that, it just collapsed within a day. So they really have history. That's what I said. Even before you invest in those insurance companies that we talked about, ensure that this company has history. It is something that you can trace back and see this company was started in 1970, 1980. They have grown to this. This is what they have done. Or if it is still a new company, but at least they have some history that can be attached to, then be attached to them. And
even as a so who's the most common victims of people on this kind of scheme, so that even for someone listening, they know I might be a huge target.
This one affects. This one affects all segments of the market. These guys are so sharp. People get into this are so sharp. If they want to target people in media, they'll have a product specifically for persons in this, tailored for that particular industry. If they're targeting the Mambogas, they have a product specifically for that particular. So everybody is acceptable to this scheme. They studied the psychology of human beings, and they know that most of us are let me call it greedy. You want to make money as fast as we, and they promise that, and you'll fall into that if you don't take care of this. Number three, as I'm just going to, you really know who the management is.
Okay. Oh, you really know?
You really know who the management is. Management issues. You really know who is behind this whole thing. They'll not come out and tell I'm the owner, I've invested XYZ amount of money in this. They'll just have what we call a face or somebody to represent them. And normally the person that represent them are just your most closest person. They'll get an influential person from maybe a particular town and front that, or they get a pastor and front that as they
someone who is trustworthy around you.
Yes, trustworthy. You'll never know who is behind this entire scheme. And then number three, number four.
Yeah. As you come to the close of, before we get the last thoughts and advice.
Heavy advertising. They are very heavy on advertising, be it on social media, on print media. They're very heavy on advertising. They spend a fortune on advertising. That's how they're able to lure a big percentage of people into this kind of people. And then number four, they target a bigger population. Target market
is okay.
Is big.
Is big. Okay.
they need to target a bigger population so that they can get as much as possible to be able to sustain that structure for a period of time. So if you see this in a particular organization, just be careful.
Okay, right. So this is on the whole bit. As you come to the close, because the time is not really on our side now, your advice to someone getting into all this matters investing, and also for the question that we're asking you, where do you feel out of this, where should be the best place? Is there actually the best place to invest?
There is a best place to invest. Number one, if I'm looking at an investment, that number one, I must look at security of whatever amount I invest. That's the number one goal of any investor. Okay. That at least, even if I don't get a return, but my capital is intact. Now, that is number one. Number two, at least because we live in an inflationary economy, at least every now and again prices go higher. At least you get a return from this investment that I'm. So return is number two. And then number three, of course, history of the company you're investing in.
Fantastic.
Those are the three most important things that you must look out for if you're going into investment.
Fantastic. I'll take that as your advice as well as your closing remarks. Asante sana, Dr. Munga, for all this. We're on page 5 of just analyzing where you can really throw in your money. You really have accrued it, you may save, and unafikiria where you can invest it. I hope you've learned. In case you're just joining us, in case you